The Indianapolis Colts are getting some good news in lieu of tomorrow's preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. And we've got some really big takeaways that we got from the second joint practice against the Arizona Cardinals. All that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. Now, the Colts just got done with their second joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals. And as they look ahead to the second preseason game, they have decided and elected to not play their starters for any reps tomorrow. And that includes quarterback Joe Flacco. Now, Joe Flacco is not a surprise, even though he's not technically the starter. It's not a surprise because he's definitely looked really slow. He's 39 years old. Not shocking that they're not going to use him for preseason. He's basically there as the ice quarterback, which is the in case of emergency quarterback. So the Colts aren't going to be using their starters, and that means that the good news is they saw everything they needed to see throughout the joint practices. Now, Wednesday's joint practice was great for the offense, great for the defensive front, really bad for the defensive secondary. And the situation for the Colts got worse as the Atlanta Falcons have officially signed free safety Justin Simmons to a one-year deal worth $8 million. So if you're keeping track of that, for a third-round pick, $8 million and $5 million, the Indianapolis Colts could have gotten L'Jarius Sneed, Quandre Diggs, and Justin Simmons. But alas, here we are. With no free safety help, with no veteran DB, this is where we're at. But we've got good news on that front. So let's talk about the good news from the practice. And that is this. We got 5 key takeaways from the Indianapolis Colts practice. And I think they're all really, really good, and I'm excited to see this. The Colts control the 2-minute drill. That's not surprising, specifically when you've got a guy like Anthony Richardson and you've got speed and you've got a bunch of young guys. A lot of times with older guys, especially offensive linemen in particular, you have trouble kind of controlling the 2-minute drill because you got slower guys. But with this team and this amount of speed, the Colts are doing a really, really good job of controlling the 2-minute drill. Now, that comes in handy a lot, especially because last season, the Colts were ranked number 1 overall in the no-huddle offense and number 5 overall in no-huddle offense consistency. Now, that is without Jonathan Taylor for a large part of the season and without Anthony Richardson. You had 2 guys who have a lot of speed and a lot of playmaking ability and Shane Steichen's love for the no-huddle offense, and this team is going to be really, really tough to keep up with tempo-wise, which is good. That's what we want to see. So that's really, really good news. A good takeaway from the first or second joint practice, excuse me. The another one is that the defensive front, they're doing it again. They're doing absolutely fantastic. Leatu Latu looks like he's been playing in the NFL for 5 years. The already from unbiased non-Colts related sources, the comparison to Nick Bosa has already been made. Trying not to get my hopes up as we look to have a potential future Hall of Famer in Leatu Latu. It looks really good. And not only him, but a lot of other guys. Taquan Lewis is doing really good. DeForest Buckner and Leatu Latu being on the same side are quoted here as unblockable. The Colts have invested heavily into their defensive front, and the success of the defense as a whole begins with this unit. As we know, the name of the game is getting after the quarterback, but without that element, it is going to leave the Colts secondary, which is full of question marks, exposed. While the pass rush tailed a lot of sacks in 2023, they have to generate more consistent pressure after ranking 22nd in pressure rate last season. So what this means, and for the Colts, what's really, really good and really encouraging is that they've devoted a lot of time and energy and attention into this defensive line. And if you're able to make a guy like Kyler Murray sweat, who I would argue being one of the best improv quarterbacks in the NFL, I feel like the dude is on the run more than he actually is in the pocket. If you're able to make him uncomfortable and break a sweat, I think that the Colts are going to have a really, really good shot at doing that to a lot of quarterbacks who are more pocket passer quarterbacks that they're going to face a lot this season. So this is a big one that we've talked about a lot is Juju Brents. What is Juju Brents going to look like? I've been a Juju Brents fan, but obviously, like many others, I was scarred by his performance late in the season last year. But and also the injuries. Juju Brents struggled with injuries a lot last season. But there's a bounce back for Juju Brents. Wednesday practice was rough for Brents. However, on Thursday, he had the biggest bounce back of any player on the field. According to Nate Atkins, Brents has enjoyed an overall solid training camp and outside of Wednesday's performance, had been playing some of his best football as of late. We often hear about the year 2 leap in NFL players, and that feels like a near must for Brents from the Colts' perspective with the defensive banking on his growth. helping to provide some stability at cornerback. This is not shocking at all. A lot of times you see rookie wide receivers do fantastic, and rookie cornerbacks oftentimes struggle. But when you get to year 2, you see guys like Juju Brents who are able to see more, get more reps, understand the route tree a little bit better, and their opponents a little bit better, have a really, really solid bounce back year. You see it a lot with even Carolina Panthers cornerback J.C. Horn. You've got Derek Stingley of the Texans, who didn't do great his first season, but did a really, really good job as a bounce back his second year. We look to see that from Brents, a guy who had really high highs last year and really low lows. I think Juju Brents is going to be one of those that I'm excited to watch and excited to see him budding. But not only that, but Darrell Baker. Darrell Baker was one, when we covered James Boyd's report yesterday of the potential cuts, Darrell Baker was on the outside looking in. But it now looks like Darrell Baker is really, really going to make it hard to cut him or move him to practice squad because he's making a name for himself. And we know that. Last year, he had some, really high highs and really low lows. A game specifically against the Cleveland Browns that stuck out where he blew a late pass that ended up leading to a game-winning touchdown. Not that we're so bitter about that game, but whatever. Alas, here we are. Darrell Baker is one that is going to be a tough cut because if he's able to lock in and really understand what he's doing, I think he's going to be a tough guy to get rid of, and he's going to be a solid backup corner option. Lastly, we got this. The safety position is taking shape. We talked about this a few minutes ago, but with the loss of Justin Simmons, we're not going to be getting him, and Quandre Diggs, not going to be getting him. It now looks as though the Colts have no more options other than to commit to the guys that they got. And a lot of times this preseason, that has bounced between Nick Cross, Ronnie Thomas, and Ronnie Harrison. But now Nick Cross has been taking a majority of the first team reps at the full safety position. And as noted here, Ronnie Thomas and even Ronnie Harrison getting reps. However, as of late, Harrison has transitioned more to a strong safety, while Cross has been seeing the regular snaps over Thomas. After Cross and Blackman rotated between free safety and strong safety on Wednesday, Atkins wrote that Cross stayed at free safety on Friday, and Blackman at strong safety. During the preseason game against Denver, Cross played both free and strong safety, putting together a sound performance when tasked with playing deep. Now, we obviously know that Nick Cross had kind of that more rougher play there towards the end, where Bo Nix threw that touchdown, where it was a miscommunication between Dallas Flowers and Nick Cross. But it definitely seems as though the majority of the practices and the majority of the games, and specifically this joint practice, Nick Cross has looked really good at free safety. Now, you know this. I've been a Nick Cross fan since day one, since he was drafted. I've loved this pick. Obviously, I have a little bit of bitterness after the hit on Josh Downs, but I think this is a guy who's going to provide a lot of really strong hits, and if he's able to get his mind right and really able to see the field the way that we know he can, he's going to be a really, really good free safety. And again, we don't really have another choice. I think with the pass rush the way that it is and our linebacker room being as good as it is, I think that we've got a pretty strong stance of not having as much pressure on the defensive secondary as we have in years past. But those are our 5 key takeaways, plus some good news. The starters are going to be resting tomorrow, which means the Colts have seen all they need to see against this Cardinals defense. And again, there was a little bit of a skiff, a little bit of a tussle, if you will, on Wednesday's practice, with there being some communication from the Colts to the Cardinals saying that we're not going to be, going full contact, and a lot of Cardinals players still running full contact. You saw that clip of James Conner and Zaire Franklin really going at it, and Zaire Franklin ended up throwing James Conner one time. Conner threw Franklin the next time. It was way more physical than it needed to be for a preseason game, especially when you're looking at teams like the Vikings who are losing guys left and right to injury. I think it's definitely better to be safe than sorry, especially if you've seen all you want to see from your starters. But we'll see how this game goes. I'm excited to watch. We'll be providing a breakdown of the game following the game tomorrow. Be sure to like and subscribe and become a part of this community, and we'll see you on the next one.